Okay, so this play happened a couple of weeks ago and I meant to make a video on it, but have been traveling all over the place for tournaments. So we have Wander Franco at second base. We have one out. We also have a runner at first base. He's trying to time up the pitcher to steal third. Pitcher notices it, steps off, throws the third. Franco beats the ball there. Ball gets away, and then he gets home. So I wanted to show this because we can look at both an offensive and a defensive perspective on how to steal third base and then how to prevent the steal of third base. So let's start off looking at it from the base runner's point of view, trying to steal third base. When you're trying to steal third, you've got to do a few things. The first thing is you're trying to get some momentum. So we want our feet moving and we're trying to gain ground. So let's look at it from this view right here. As the runner, I'm trying to get momentum. I'm trying to get closer and closer to third base without alerting the pitcher that I am going to steal third. So you can see how he's slowly walking, gaining ground, gaining ground, gaining ground. His feet are always moving, and then he's going to take off for third base. Now, how do you do that? Because obviously, if you continue to walk off, the pitcher should notice it and he should step off, he should inside move. So let me bounce to the pitching perspective for a minute, because we always tell our infielders and our pitchers that we need to stop their feet. If the base runner's feet are moving towards third, we cannot just pitch the ball. That's an easy stolen base. So you have to stop his feet. If his feet don't stop, then we have someone daylight for a pick, or again, we do an inside move, which is just the pitcher lifting up his left leg and then turning inside, and then we can pick the second, or if the runner runs to third, we can throw to third. So as a base runner, how do you do that? Well, you were going to try to time up the looks of the pitcher. So most pitchers fall into habits. Do they look once? Do they look twice? Pitchers will try and they're taught to mix up their looks. So they might look at the base runner here, turn their head and pitch. They might look at the base runner, turn their head, look back a second time, turn their head and pitch. Sometimes they might just come set and pitch. And so you're mixing up your looks so that the base runner cannot figure out your pattern. Because if you constantly just look at the base runner, turn your head and pitch, then when you go to turn your head, he's going to start to inch off and he's going to time it up and steal. And that's what Franco's doing right here. My assumption is this pitcher had fallen into a trap of looking one time every time. And so he said when he turns his head after that first look, I am going to start to inch off and then I'm going to break. So you can see as the pitcher turns his head. So notice that, right? Once he turns his head, Franco takes off. Now, what we teach is instead of just taking off on the turn of the head, we start to make these small shuffles towards third, and then when the left foot picks up, then we break. Franco, instead of shuffling, he just takes off. But here's the thing. This is where it comes in handy of mixing your looks, because he then looks back again and says, oh, he's running. He steps off and throws the third. Now you can see it's still a difficult play and it works out for the Rays, but by mixing up your looks, it gives you the ability to prevent this. And most times, I'd say 99% of times that this happens, the pitcher's able to step off, throw the third baseman for a catch and a tag. So another important thing when it comes to running is knowing the pitcher's max looks. So if the maximum amount of looks the pitcher does is 2, then once the pitcher looks twice and turns his head, you can start to do this right here, get off the bag and steal, because he's never going to look 3 times. So it's really important to understand the max amount of looks. And again, although this did work, I think the better technique would have been if Franco, as the pitcher looked away, he started to inch off in this manner. So he looks away, you inch off, you inch off, you inch off, and then you go. Instead, what he did is he just took off running when the pitcher looked away and towards the plate. And another small detail you can add in is you'll see when the pitcher is looking at Franco, he kind of puts his arm out here. You want to look as non-threatening as possible. One thing I do as a coach is I stare at the base runner and I say, does this guy look threatening or does he look non-threatening? And so if you have your hand out and you're just kind of hanging out here as the pitcher's looking at you, I would even recommend to him, because this is where the pitcher's looking at him, I would stop my feet completely as the pitcher's looking at me. I'd have my arm out, I'd look non-threatening. Then when he looks away, now I get into this threatening move where I'm starting to shuffle off, and then I'm going to break once he lifts his leg. And the last thing I'll say is, if for some reason in this instance you're looking to steal after one look, because that's the pattern the pitcher falls into, when you start to shuffle off like this, if he does not pitch or he looks back, if you're only just shuffling off, well, then you can stop and get back. But if you just turn and run, you're at the point of no return. So you can't stop and get back. And that's where, again, the shuffles, just working ourselves closer, getting momentum, cutting down the distance, and then breaking when he finally lifts his leg is better than just taking off. And again, I know it works in this situation, but if this is the way you do it all the time, you're going to be out more often than not. So hopefully this helps out. I was sent this play a while ago again, and although this isn't the greatest technique, I thought there were some cool angles that we can look at and see, and then talk about some adjustments that could be made both from the offensive and defensive perspective. So let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, give a thumbs up, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you later.